Hey Maurice, how's it going? It's Nick. Good to see you. Happy Thanksgiving, by the way. Thou shalt not kill. I have a funny story. When I was about 21 years old, um, I decided that I would stop eating red meat. I was thinking, well, it's kind of unethical. I'm taking these animals' lives, and I'll just stop eating red meat. Of course, then you thought, well, I shouldn't be taking the chickens' lives either. I mean, chickens are cool. Why, and all these other animals. So I stopped eating animal meat, and I was still eating seafood. I love seafood. So I was eating seafood, and I started to feel bad for the shrimp. So at that point, I thought, God, I got to have a rule. I got to have a rule to go by. So I decided I wouldn't eat anything with eyes, and nothing with eyeballs. Of course, then that brought me down to clams. I could eat clams and mollusks. So I was eating mollusks and clams and those little bivalve things, sort of squirmy stuff. And then, of course, I thought, well, I mean, I really shouldn't be eating these things either. I mean, really, probably the most ethical thing to do is just eat, seeds and things like that. So I switched to seeds and stuff like that. And then I started to think, well, my God, I've got 500 seeds here. And I'm not killing them, but I'm robbing them of their potential life. If they were planted, they would grow, they would have this wonderful life and be a tree or a plant of some kind. And here I am robbing them of their potential life. So I was really in a quandary, man. I didn't know what to do. And right about that time, a friend of mine came over, a poet friend, and he cooked a steak on my stove. He cooked a steak, and he read a poem um, about the sacredness of meat. Um, and something about the poem and about the meat being sacred, and a sacred offering of meat in an earthen bowl. And anyway, the poem kicked into my psyche, and I started eating things again that had eyeballs. So thou shalt not kill. I just don't know the original Hebrew. I'm just not. I'm not. I'm not a scholar of ancient Hebrew, so I don't know what the original word meant. But I think "thou shalt not kill." I like it better than "thou shalt not murder" because it's more all-embracing. And makes us think in a more all-embracing manner. Instead of just one type of killing. It makes us stop and think. Should I be eating the clams? Yeah, atheism. There's some videos on this. I've been corrected several times. Um, there's kind of two ways to not believe in God. There's an actual a belief in the non-existence of God, and I agree with you there that that is a sort of a blind belief. A belief in the non-existence of God. They refer to that as strong atheism. I don't know why they use the word strong, but because then the other thing they call is weak atheism, and weak atheism is there is still no belief in God, but there's no belief in the non-existence of God. So you stay open. You don't believe in the existence of God, but you don't disbelieve in the existence of God. And that's where I fall, even though they use the word weak. I don't like the word weak, but they use it in debates. So I guess it's a technical term I have to accept if I want to argue, or hold a discussion with some of the more rigorously minded atheists, my fellows. Um, um, I tend to call myself an agnostic because I focus so much on how profound my ignorance is. What I don't know is just so much more infinite than what I do know. Um, that and I don't even know if I can know intellectually uh, God or the existence of God. So I don't even know if I can know. So my focus on my ignorance tends to make me call myself an agnostic, though technically, apparently, the word agnostic means something different too. Oh well, we'll just adapt the language to our own selves. Yeah, I agree with you about how much we don't know. I mean, the ants, man, they always know what they're doing. They always know what they're doing. You never see an ant standing around and wondering what to do. They're on the move, man. We're the only animal. I agree. We're the only animal walking around saying, "What's my purpose? Why am I here? Why was I born?" And uh, it's a beautiful kind of freedom, but you know, it's it's disorienting, uncomfortable, really. But it is kind of beautiful that we don't know. You know, some people know, but generally speaking, as a species, we're just wandering around. You know, the birds know how to follow the magnetic lines or something. We don't. Science, yes, science is just an ever continuing model. You know, the science never has the last word. It always leaves itself open to a better theory to explain things. It's a beautiful thing too. But yeah, it's not a firm, enduring form of knowledge, even though science means knowledge, I guess, but it's just a series of models to explain how the world works. And I always like to say that science doesn't explain why, science explains how. Um, of course, we use the word why in a couple of senses. Sometimes when we ask why, we mean what was the cause of something, like why did the car accident happen? Because somebody ran the red light. But sometimes we also mean the purpose, the ultimate purpose of something, like why am I, uh, let's say, why am I going to school? I'm not going to school, but I had to come up with an example. Why am I going to school? In order to achieve a certain thing. So the cause, you know, cause versus teleological purpose, you know. So we confuse that a lot. I mean, we use language so loosely that it's difficult sometimes to even think clearly about these things because we have multiple meanings for the words, and we just it makes it difficult even to think clearly on it. What do I have on my notes? Yeah, yeah. A lot of atheists can become pretty defensive because you know, we've been under pressure all our lives in this culture to convert. You know, when I was a kid, there was prayer in the schools. You know, they gave us some milk and a graham cracker, and the kids had to say a prayer. So, of course, my family, they were strong atheists. They believed that God did not exist. So, um, so I was not supposed to pray in school. So I got a lot of heat for you know, peer pressure from other kids for just not saying the prayer. Um, and you know, so atheists get kind of defensive. And here on YouTube, you see videos going back and forth where you know people will assault the other position. It goes both ways. It's like it doesn't. I don't think it really has a start now. You just get these cycle. I made a couple of reactionary videos at first when I first joined YouTube in response to kind of attacks from um, believers that were kind of rude, you know, rude attacks. I got my hackles up and made a response video. And then I realized that other people were stumbling across that video and they were misunderstanding what I was saying because they didn't know what it was in response to. They didn't, and I didn't start it with an introduction to explain why I was saying what I was saying. I just launched into, you know, kind of passionate defense. So I took all those down because they were being misunderstood, you know. But that happens too. I mean, really on YouTube, for me, the biggest challenge is just trying to stay above the negative comments and the negative videos that come out because it can drag you down, man. You know. The miraculous. Lots of people have seen. Yeah, I know many people testify to having seen the miraculous. Of course, you know that experience can't really be directly communicated. That's the thing. I have epilepsy, and I have seen some amazing things. And believe me, I'm not saying that that people's religious experience are a delusion of any sort, or that they have epilepsy like me. But it is absolutely remarkable what the brain can do, which is why I touched on the idea of a divine imprint in human nature. How do we recognize that we're not psychotic, that we're having a legitimate religious experience? Uh, because I'm not going to say that people's experiences are illegitimate. No, I am not. Huh? I'm running out of time. I gotta go. Listen, you take good care. It's good to see you. Good talking to you as always. And yeah, I'll send you some tips on communication, but there's not really much for me to tell you. There's not many tips to go by. But whatever I know, I shall pass on to you. Thank you, my friend. Bye-bye.